Okay, so turns out my camera is having a bit of a hissy fit, and I'm not sure if this is going to film, so I might be talking to myself like a crazy person, but we'll see. Anyway, video, let's talk about some knives. So this week I've been doing a lot of G10 work, a lot of micarta work, a lot of C-Tek work, so as you can imagine it's been dusty as shit. Essentially the whole workshop is covered in this fine film of carcinogenic shit. So I'm definitely cleaning this up, probably tomorrow, because carcinogens aren't good for you, apparently. Anyway, so yeah, I've been working on a whole bunch of stuff. I've actually finished off a couple of friction folders. Unfortunately, it was not the friction folder that I really wanted to get finished, which is this one. I finally figured out the issue. It turns out there was like this tiny little bit of metal that hadn't quite been cut off when I'd done the counterbore for these pivots. So basically that tiny bit of metal was kind of angling up my pivot and knocking off my centering just that little bit, which is enough for folders just to turn everything haywire. So yeah, 2-second little fix that took me half a day to figure out, which is always makes me feel smart. But it's working now, it's all ground, and I just got to do some finishing work on it, you know, around the ends of it and, you know, make it look pretty, which is, you know, most of the work in these. But besides that, we did actually get some stuff finished. We'll start off with this one. So again, you can see these are my friction folder designs, come with a leather sheath, made my Mr. Hyde's leather work. These are probably going to be the last time I do leather sheaths for this batch. I may switch to denim. I'm really liking the idea of that, to do denim sheaths. But we'll see how that goes. I got to get some quotes first. But anyway, onto the knife itself. As you can see, we had the blue and black G10, and I really wanted to capitalize on that layered effect, and I stippled the shit out of it, and then heavily bead blasted it to give it this really cool effect. I mean, it looks like some sort of golf ball from Mars. It looks really cool, especially in person, because you got those little dots of blue and black all the way through it, and here you got this big section of black, and then I think here there's another big section of black, which just has the randomness of the material and how it's shaped. But yeah, that looks so trippy. I got to do this on another knife, especially with blue and black, or maybe like a really funky color like pink and black or something like that, just to really capitalize on that like trippy as shit effect. And on this we also got dome pivots. Funny story on this, I'd actually pretty much finished it off, and just as I was finishing it off and doing the last screw in, I slipped with a screwdriver and just marred the shit out of one of these screws. So yeah, I had to cut them down a little bit more to just kind of fix it up a bit and make them look pretty, but they're all good now. So yeah, just a frustrating little stupid mistake you make when you're tired. This one too had some centering issues, but it's been fixed up, and it's got a nice action on it. Still needs to break in a bit, but you don't want them to be too loose for a friction folder. Again, I did this with a double hollow grind. I've been really liking the double hollow grinds recently on pretty much everything, not just friction folders, because it's just a nice thin slicing grind, and there's so much life to them, sharpening life. And the backspacer is my favorite part, hands down. I tried something out and I managed to get a sort of a triangular backspacer. So in the other ones they were all rounded, and this one it's actually like a sharp V. I essentially grind it the same way I grind a dagger, so it's good practice for when I eventually get my license to do daggers. You can see it's not like sharp or anything. You're not going to hurt yourself because it's recessed into the handle, but it's just a really cool effect. And the jimping in there just makes it. It's this area right here looking like this is my favorite part of the whole knife. I've got to do that again at another time when I have the patience again, because it took me a while to get that done. Had to do a lot of hand work without any machines to kind of true it up and get it even. But it's definitely worth it. I love that effect. And of course, very sharp. We'll do some testing on baking paper because it's the only paper I have in hand. You think I'd be prepared when I make these videos, but no, apparently not. You didn't see that. Very sharp. Shaving sharp. So yeah, for all your manscaping needs, it's ready to go. So that's that one. Next up, we have the C-Tek one. Now, I showed this in the last video, and it at the time I was very skeptical about it being finished. It was having all sorts of issues, entirely due to the nature of C-Tek. For those who don't know, C-Tek, it's just a dick. There's all sorts of things it does, weird shit. It's not fun. But we got it done. So, there you can see it is finished. We have that nice C-Tek there, orange C-Tek as you can see. And I lightly bead blasted it because with this radius here for the finger choil, it wasn't really looking good with polish, so I slightly bead blasted it, just kind of dulled it down a bit. And I'm liking how that looks. This time around, we've actually got a radius backspacer. So not a triangle like the other one, but it's radius, so you can kind of see the difference. We still have that cool jimping there. Again, mostly decorative, that doesn't really do shit. And C-Tek, for those who don't know, C-Tek is essentially pretty much someone went out and designed the most hard to use material, and yeah, sold it to knife makers. So essentially what it is, it's an aluminium mesh with epoxy running through it, and that epoxy has different colors. So that sounds great on paper, but in reality it's very brittle if it's unsupported. I mean, here it's fine because it's got a G10 liner there, it's nicely supported, but by itself it's very brittle. You don't want to have like really thin parts of it by itself or a pattern on it because it's just going to snap off. So yeah, it's brittle stuff, but the big issue with it is it's very, very sensitive to heat. Like, not on this knife, but another knife I was doing with C-Tek, it got kind of warm, and I pushed my thumb into it to, like, you know, get a gauge of the temperature, and I left a thumbprint in the material to kind of give you an idea of how soft it gets if it gets warm. So yeah, it's got some issues with it, but it's just a sick material when it's actually done. And on the other side, we have titanium, just a single titanium side, blue anodizing, or heat coloring on the titanium, and then just radius there, just to help it fit in the sheath really, because before it was a little bit too thick and it wasn't actually going into its sheath properly. And as for the blade, I did a custom grind. So we've got a sort of a, I don't know what to call it, a thickening tip. I essentially grind it in just one direction so the tip doesn't get thinned out like a normal hollow grind. And that lets me do this really cool sort of expanding edge, so it gets thicker and thicker and thicker as it goes towards the tip. Not the most practical thing in the world, but fuck does it look cool. And one thing that I did, which I don't think you're going to be able to pick up on camera, is actually, I did a pattern inside the handle. I'm going to have to get a torch. So if you look internally, come on. You can kind of see it. There's a pattern. There we go. I carved a pattern inside of the handle. Mainly because there's this deep ass gouge in the titanium front I was cutting it out. And I kind of did that to cover it up. And I'm loving the effect. I really want to do this on the outside of a handle, like a full titanium frame or something. And just texture it like that. Because you can see it kind of has like this brain pattern inside of the handle. All the important areas, of course, are, you know, not carved into, so it doesn't fuck up the tolerances. But the non-important areas just have this sick looking pattern internally. I really should have taken a photo of this before I Loctited it all together. But yeah, just a nice little texture in there that I did to cover up one of my fuck ups. But yeah, I'm loving this one here. I almost don't want to sell it, but I have to because I bought a machine and now I have to pay for it somehow. So yeah, essentially that's on the website too. Anyway, that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for looking, and I'll see you in the next video.